Hello there, my friends. How are you today? It's Bonnie here, and I definitely wanted to come in today on Intuitive Eating Wednesday to talk about an important topic, and that would be meal planning. If you saw my post in the group, I said we're going to talk all about meal planning today, so if you do catch me live, definitely comment. I'll check comments, but if not and you're on replay, I'd love to hear your thoughts as I talk a little bit about what's on my mind today in regards to quote unquote meal planning. So first off, I do want to welcome our new members. I want to remind you that this group is your group to help you create a healthier relationship with food in your body. So use this group to seek support from the other members. Okay, so a couple of things that are on my mind. I have a lot of conversations every week with clients as well as potential clients and just people in my community, followers, etc. And we talk a lot about stopping dieting, right? Recovering from dieting. If you're in this group, then more than likely you've been a dieter in your life. You have followed diets or rules about how to eat, when to eat, what to eat, all for the purpose of losing weight. Even if that you say the purpose of following the diets was to get healthy, unfortunately, diet culture is super, super sneaky and has taken the word health and has made it synonymous with weight or weight loss, right? And the truth of the matter is, and I'm hoping that many of you who are in this group can pretty much vouch for it, certainly if I have clients in this group, which I do, you can vouch for this, is that you can improve health, assuming health is a value for you. And most people who are in my world, then yes, health is a value. You can improve health without focusing on weight. If you look back to your history, those diets that you've done to lose weight to be healthy or to become healthy, well, they've never worked really for you. Yeah, perhaps your labs improved for that short period of time when you lost the weight or you followed the diet or you took out all those foods you thought you quote unquote shouldn't be eating. But then you, as the dieter, will say, I fell off track, I fell back into old habits, I fell off the wagon, and, those pounds came back, maybe even plus some, and the labs went back up. So at the end of the day, we want to really separate and really kind of decouple the concept of health and weight and health and weight loss, because you can become healthy without focusing on weight loss, right? You can improve your health. And so why this has come up, because the question around meal planning really has come up a lot around, if I meal plan, is that still like dieting? So I'm pausing because I have a couple of stories actually that I want to share with you. I had recently done a post, I think here on this group and on my Facebook profile, and just to share an experience that I had, because I am in practice now over 35 years. And in the very early stage, well, not even the early stages, for a very big chunk of those years, 20 something years, let's say 23, 24, 25 years, I was creating meal plans for people with the purpose of losing weight. Now, that could be losing weight to improve diabetes, losing weight to improve cholesterol, whatever it might be, or just because somebody wanted to lose weight. And honestly, like I would have, as I put into the post, I would have, piles of patient files and client files that would be sitting on my chair at the end of the week that I would have to allocate time over the course of the weekend to create meal plans for these clients. And, at some point, like something didn't sit right for me about this, because really, you know, people would take these meal plans and they'd follow it to a T. And if they couldn't follow it to a T, they felt really bad and they felt they did something wrong, and they really weren't learning to trust their own decisions, to make their own decisions around what they wanted to eat, how much they wanted to eat, based on what the messages of their bodies were the body was giving them. And it just, at some point in my life, in my career, I totally burnt out from it. And I realized something's just not right here. Like, this doesn't feel right. And at the end of the day, I found intuitive eating and I researched it and I got trained from one of the co-creators of it. If you know intuitive eating, Evelyn Tribole, she's trained me and supervised me, and I took the exam to become certified. I brought intuitive eating into my life, and I started bringing it to my clients' life. And honestly, it was scary at first because I didn't think that I'd be able to continue to work or have a business or a private practice if I wasn't creating meal plans for people. And that just isn't the case. I am so excited because I do get to help my clients who have been dieting and relying on diets and quote unquote meal plans from health professionals. I'm really helping them to trust themselves again with food and making their own nutrition decisions. Now, nutrition is very important to me. So just because I don't create and give meal plans to my clients doesn't mean I don't teach nutrition, right? Because I do believe that there is a place for nutrition education, but that place really needs to come from a place of guiding people to make decisions around their nutrition for what feels right for them, what feels right in their body, what feels right for them, their health, etc. So all that to say is, the trust piece is real important. For a long time, I was like, how can I work with clients? How can I do this if I don't give a meal plan? And at the end of the day, it's a beautiful, beautiful transition that I've made in my life. And I hope that I've been helping you guys here in the community as well as my clients. And I know I have with my clients make that same transition to a place of trust. And so the question comes up around meal planning and meal prepping. And is that considered a diet? And I would say to you like this. Actually, I said I wanted to share a second story. So let me talk about meal planning, and then I'm going to share my second story. I would say like this. I do believe that planning in life is very important. We plan for vacations. We plan for our children's education. We plan for various experiences. We plan in our jobs. So why not plan meals for ourselves? Does that mean that planning meals is dieting? And I argue that it isn't. Meal planning is smart. Meal planning is smart. If you are a person who is busy, and you're running, and especially if you have people dependent on you for eating meals like I do, and you don't have somewhat of a plan in place of what you're going to have available for, let's say, dinner, then it's probably going to be a gulp and go, what can I just put together? And it's not necessarily going to feel best for you or for your health. And so here's the main difference that I share with my clients and everybody as far as if meal planning is considered dieting or meal planning is considered smart living, and how you look at meal planning through an intuitive lens. And that big difference is one word. Does anybody know what that word is? That word is flexibility. If you plan, and even if you do prepping, meal prepping, I think meal prepping is huge, right? If you plan and you prep and you are flexible so that you can change course at any given moment, then I think meal planning from that respect is very intuitive and very smart. And for me personally, a lifesaver. But if you meal plan and you prep meals, and if for some reason you're not able to follow through on what you planned, I always say, like, if you break out in hives and you get all panicked and anxious, then that meal planning is really dieting. So I want you to give thought to that, right? Do you meal plan? And do you think you're meal planning from a dieting lens, from a quote-unquote control lens, or more from a flexible lens, which is more of an intuitive lens? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It's just something that really has come up. It comes up over and over again, and I think it's something really important for you to give thought to. So here's my other story. I had a client once, you may have heard the story, I'm not sure, but I had a client once who we were working on her intuitive eating journey. And we started talking about meal planning and bringing lunch to work because she was a very busy attorney and she never was able to take time for lunch, to go to the cafeteria or to go out to get lunch. And I suggested, Well, why don't you bring something with you so at least you can take a couple of minutes, close the computer, and at least nourish yourself, and then get back to work without having to leave the office for any extended time period. And she looks at me, she says, "Oh no, that's dieting." And that really led to such a wonderful, deep conversation on how meal planning doesn't necessarily have to be dieting, but it's all based on your mindset and how you view it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hashtag replay if you're listening on replay. Let me know. Do you meal plan? Do you prep? Do you view it as dieting? Do you break out in hives and get all anxious if you can't follow through on what you prepared or you planned? Or do you think at this point of your life you are meal planning from an intuitive lens and you are, you're doing it in a way that really honors yourself? So let me know. Let me know. I deep dive with my clients on how do we actually meal plan from an intuitive lens. But let's first talk about what your viewpoint is on this and what you're actually doing. So comment below, tag me, and I will be sure to come back and we can continue this conversation. It's a very important one. All right. I will see you all again next Wednesday for our next Intuitive Eating Wednesday live stream. Have a great night.